who can't play regardless of system? This just crossed. The Commanders cut Carson Wentz. They saved $26 million against their cap by cutting Carson Wentz. I don't give a damn about Carson Wentz. I want to talk about the guy who seems to he's gonna be the QB1 under Eric Bieniemy and that offense, and that's Sam Howell. Should we believe, and by we, I mean people who are in dynasty leagues who have Sam Howell.
Oh,
and like, you know what? I'm in Superflex leagues, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stick with Sam Howell.
I'm like,
is this
why is he asking about
thing?
Sam Howell? You know, Gary, I should have known.
Because Gary wants to know. Because our Commanders fan producer
Gary,
wants to know. That's why I'm asking.
Gary don't want to know. Even Gary, even the Commanders fan doesn't want to know about Sam Howell. But Mike Smith does.
He's probably not gonna be there anyway. But I mean, like, I've seen some mock drafts linked in Anthony Richardson, who I love. Like, are they really gonna roll with Sam Howell, who once upon a time was gonna be a top 5 pick?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about Sam Howell to me is I first became aware of him because what do we do every year during the draft as soon as the draft's over?
Look at the next draft.
Yeah, we're like, hey, who's coming up? Like and I always ask about the quarterbacks, like who's a year out, who's 2 years out? Tell me about the next 2 quarterback drafts because every team out there is evaluating juniors whenever they go into pro days, and now some of them are even kind of taking a little peek at the sophomores because they're like, these guys will come out as juniors. So I remember Sam Howell, it was like, oh, well, this kid could be a number 1 pick. He could be a top 3 pick. He could be a top 5 pick. And then he became a 5th round pick. And I was always like, what happened? So I ended up watching him in the preseason because I was really interested. I'm like, I remember the time when this guy was it. He was going to be it. I liked him. When I watched him, I was like, I kind of like how this guy plays. Like he looked, now again, it's preseason. Right. It is what it is. But I mean, I thought when he got his opportunity last year, I was kind of like, maybe this guy is better than it.
They waited
maybe
too
he's
long.
Not a top 5.
I don't know what they were waiting on.
I do not know what he is ultimately going to become. I would be surprised if they do not address quarterback in another way. You don't want to just hang everything on the Sam Howell, hopes and dreams. But I don't know that they go out and they draft another young quarterback, in this draft to compete with him unless something happens. I mean, I guess we could always see what happens with this class of guys. But I thought he was interesting. He was fun. It was the same with Drew Lock, though. There was a time where I looked at Drew Lock and I was like, wow, he's kind of interesting. Maybe he's got some tools. It would be a shocker to see him put it together. But we just watched Brock Purdy, at least, look, he won over 2 of the 3 of us over the course of this season, and he was the last pick in the draft. I don't know. Maybe there's something there to work with Sam Howell. So all of you Dynasty League drafters, Michael Smith, hang on to Sam Howell. Maybe.
I'm with Mike. I mostly don't care about Carson Wentz, but just quickly, does anybody sign him? Does anybody say, not as a starter? Anybody sign him? Hey, good backup. Okay, we can work with him.
Is he the backup?
Frank Reich. Frank Reich. One more time in Carolina now. One more time.
Now let's not lose our Carson Wentz has talent. Okay, there's no question he has talent. He has more talent than probably most backups in the NFL. So is there a team out there that could look at him as an attractive backup? Absolutely. Do I think there's a market out there? I don't think there's a market out there for him to be a starter. I don't think there's a market out there for a team even to say, hey, we're going to bring him in and let him compete for a starting job. I think that there's a market for him to be signed, likely on like a 1-year deal, where a team says, we want to, we're going to give him a chance to come in and, compete with the other quarterbacks in the roster. We want to see him. We want to evaluate him. Similar to a few years ago, what Seattle did with Geno Smith. They're like, we think he's got talent. We think he can be a supporter for our starting quarterback. Let's see if there's something there to reclaim.
I'm so glad you said that. Number one, I do think it takes a special type of person to be a backup and embrace being a backup and manage the starter and the offensive coaching staff and so on and so forth. But Geno Smith is a great example of be careful who you write off, because nobody would have seen him. Of course, he didn't write back, and nobody would have seen him coming.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.